So from a search mode, pressing menu again accesses what we call our 6-block menu. I'm going to arrow over to my sensitivity section and press enter. And I get my sensitivity selections. You might have noticed this is very much similar to or identical to our live control. We have our RX gain. Here we can adjust it up or down. Notice the check mark. That tells me in this program 7 is the standard setting. If I go up a little higher, the triangle's telling me, hey, I've changed from my standard setting for this particular program. Going down to the boost. Now remember, RX gain is your preamp. That's the main way of increasing or decreasing depth, also of reducing external noise. TX boost is boosting the transmitter, the signal going out to the loop. Typically this is good for low mineralized ground. In moderate to high mineral ground, you get a lot of overloading. If you're transmitting more, you're obviously receiving more, very similar to turning your RX gain up real high. Typically, this is just for your lower mineralized areas. Discrimination sensitivity, again, if I increase that, the triangle comes up, but I'm not on my standard setting. The check mark is my standard setting. I can adjust. This is your motion discrimination sensitivity. Different than preamp in that it's more towards the tail end of signal processing. All metal sensitivity, you can adjust. Again, this affects your pinpoint mode significantly. High settings make it difficult to pinpoint your shallow targets. Low settings make it easier, but higher settings go deeper in your pinpoint mode, as well as your regular audio all metal mode. If you want to set it up for all metal detection, this is your main way of increasing your sensitivity. Squeeze and release the trigger to go back to the 6-block menu. Squeeze and release the trigger a second time to go back to a search mode. From the search mode again, pressing menu gets me to the 6-block menu. I'm going to go over to audio and press enter to enter my audio options. I have target volume, and I can increase that or decrease it. Again, the check mark tells me what my standard setting is. Audio threshold. I can increase or decrease with my arrows. Your tone, if I enter tone, that gives me different tones for my targets and my threshold tone. There is advantage to setting your threshold tone slightly different than your target tone. That way, that steady threshold that's going on all the time, it's more easy to recognize a target signal if that threshold tone is different than your target tone. Going on down, then we have tone ID, which this is your, the higher the VDI number, the higher the pitch of the tone. And some people really like that. It's been proven to be able to pull or recognize some good targets among heavy trash quite easily, although it does require a huge amount of concentration and patience for a huge variation in tone. And then again, we have our wireless headphones. Entering wireless, I can enable or disable my wireless headphones. Again, this is preset to be automatic on channel 4. The green bar indicates how clean that channel is. Channel 4 is looking pretty good here. It has a lot more green than it has red. Red is your external noise or your interference. If I change channels from 4, I will have to do a connect sequence, but that may be necessary to do a connect sequence if I've got a lot of external noise. If I have a lot of red in this bar, that means that I've got a lot of external noise and I probably want to pick a different channel. Select the channel with the maximum green in the bar. And that's going to be the cleanest channel to use. Another indication where you have a noisy channel is you'll get an occasional beep through the speaker. If the detector cannot make a good connection to the wireless, it sounds through the speaker. And that'll happen if you have problems with your channel. Your power level is how much power is being transmitted out to your headphone. Of course, the higher power levels are going to give you a little more distance away, but primarily this is the strength of the signal it's sending. You don't want to give it more power than you need to because you're wasting battery life. Monitor battery speaker. This is automatically selected to be on. You can see the X in the box. When it's on, if you turn on your wireless headphones, that automatically connects from channel 4. If you turn them off, that automatically goes to the speaker. It also monitors the battery that's in your wireless headphones. It'll show that on the screen with a little headphone icon when your battery gets low in your wireless headphone. So monitor speaker does two things. Monitors the battery when it's on, monitors the battery in your wireless headphone, and it also automatically connects or disconnects between the built-in speaker and the wireless. If you only use wireless headphones, probably a good idea to disable speaker. It'll give you a little advantage there in battery life when your wireless headphones are not being used. And that is, if you're not using wireless all the time, it's better to turn off speaker. I have to correct myself there because it does not transmit out any signal to look for wireless headphones. Then the multiple wireless headphone option allows a number of White's wireless headphones to listen to the same metal detector. Again, a connect sequence is required for that, but that's a big advantage in teaching and sharing the hobby. To do a connect sequence, basically what you do is after you've picked a channel that you want, you're going to menu tab to connect. You're going to press enter. It's going to tell you here to hold the power button on all the headphones you want to connect to. Once it's done, I don't have a wireless on right now, but once it is done, it will tell you it's done, and you just squeeze and release the trigger to return to the search mode or back up through the menu system. The wireless are on, but it's not receiving a signal because I don't have a wireless headphone turned on, and that's why you see the slash mark through the wireless headphones. These status bars are listed on the bottom of the control box. The light bulb tells you the backlight's on. The headphone tells you its wireless headphones are turned on, but it doesn't see one. Again, from the search mode, press menu for the 6 block. I'm going to arrow over to frequency and press enter. These are the multi-frequency options. 3 frequency is your typical search mode. That's transmitting and receiving all 3 of the frequencies. Salt compensate is also considered a 3 frequency mode. It does use a subtraction technique to deal with the ocean salt water, which is conductive. Then we have our individual frequencies, and this is the low frequency, the 2.5, which is going to be stronger on your silver, copper type metals, your higher conducting metals. These are picking one individual frequency over the multi-frequency selection. A 7.5, which is a good middle-of-the-road frequency, and then 22.5, which is better for your golds and your nickels, your lower conducting type targets. Again, if you're getting a lot of interference or false signaling, you can offset your frequency. Offsetting the frequency offsets either all 3 of them or whichever individual frequency you're using. In addition to that, picking one frequency will change both the search mode. You'll only have one spectrograph as opposed to 3 when you're running 3 frequencies. And in pinpoint, you'll just have the 1 bar as opposed to 3 bars when you're running your 3 frequencies. In the multi-frequency methods, if I enter that, that's going to give me that particular method. You can see the dot. It's giving me 3 frequencies. Here I'm going to enter the salt compensate. So the little fill-in is telling me which of these programs or which of these settings I'm using. Squeeze and release the trigger again, once to the 6-block menu, twice to go to the search screen. Again, from the search mode, pressing menu to the 6-block menu, I'm going to arrow over to ground tracking and press enter. And these are the features that deal with the ground. Auto track is typically recommended. It automatically updates the ground balance as the ground gradually changes. Report shows you on the center of the screen when it's tracking. It'll replace where program is with tracking. When it does track, arrows to the right, it's increasing its ground rejection setting. Tracking with arrows to the left means it's decreasing that ground tracking setting. So you can monitor your tracking there, and that's useful when you're adjusting the speeds. Inhibit deals a little bit better with unusual ground anomalies. What it does is it prevents it from over-tracking on just a slight change in the ground. That way, if it's not representative of the surrounding ground, you're not going to adjust your ground balance all the way through the range for one particular anomaly. Speed, of course, is how quickly it's tracking to the ground. The higher numbers track faster. You don't want it to track too fast. Like inhibit implies, you can track too quickly. If it's not representative of the surrounding ground, quickly tracking to it is going to throw performance off rather than help it. And again, tracking is to increase performance by keeping the detector balanced for the general search area or the general ground. Offset can aid in detecting small targets and highly mineralized ground. It can also deal with the hot rocks better, going a little bit plus. It says balance to perfect and then give it a little bit more. And that can help deal with some of the mineralized hot rocks and stones. A lot of advanced operators like to be a little bit on the positive offset. Lock track is another way of dealing with difficult spots of mineral. You can ground balance manually to a specific mineral, lock your ground balance, or have it locked to begin with, and it's not going to track at all. It's going to hold that setting indefinitely until you either do another manual ground balance or you turn off your lock sequence. So locking turns off the tracking, and the advantage is in setting it to a particular ground rejection level and maintaining that ground rejection level. Now, I can also offset my track lock, and what that's going to do is say, when I manually ground balance perfect, and then give it a little bit more. And again, that's going to aid in detecting small targets in difficult types of ground or in avoiding responses from particular mineralized rocks or hot rocks. Squeeze and release the trigger once to go to the 6 block, twice to go to the search mode. Again, from the search mode, press Menu, and I'm going to select my discrimination section and press Enter. These are the features that allow you to accept or reject different targets, which of course is your discrimination. The first feature, discrimination accept, if I press Enter there, I can go through my VDI number scale. An empty block indicates that I'm going to reject that particular VDI number, and the icon's shown out here to the right. If I hold my down switch or button down, I can run up to the higher ranges targets, and you're going to start seeing some X's come up here. The X's indicate that I'm accepting that particular VDI number, and this program that I'm in is rejecting VDI number 14, but it's accepting VDI 15. And you can see all the way down it's accepting that. For any particular number, press Enter to change it. So you can see the block here is rejecting it there, it's accepting it there. You can trigger to back out. I'm back to my discrimination section. I'm going to enter that again, and I'm going to go back to my discrimination menu. Again, discrimination accept is where I'm accepting or rejecting different types of targets based on the VDI number. Bottle cap reject allows you to adjust how much breaks up or sputters on iron steel type targets. It's off in most programs. It will break up and sputter on the off setting to some degree. The higher you go and you go on and go up in range, it sputters more and more on your trash targets. In some ground conditions, though, bottle cap rejection will start breaking up and sputtering on good targets, coins and things like that. The idea of bottle cap rejection is to adjust it so that you can tell the difference between a good target and a bad target by giving a more significantly solid, repeatable, smoother beep on a good target and a more sputtering and a broken beep on your iron and steel. Going down to hot rock, again, this is mostly off, although there is some ability to reject hot rocks built into the system. Increasing your hot rock rejection artificially reduces the response of plus 95, which is the VDI number that decides most of the hot rocks are going to indicate. Again, the higher the number, the more Plus 95 is going to be artificially reduced in intensity. And again, that's going to avoid a lot of your mineralized hot rocks. Ground filter has a lot to do with how much signal processing is going on for the ground condition. The lower numbers are typically better for your lower mineralized ground and slower sweep speeds, moving the loop slowly over the ground. The band version is typically better for your lower mineralized areas. The high pass version is better for a little bit more ground mineral type grounds. So your 5 band and 5 high, those are more for your lower types of grounds and slower sweep speeds. As we move up in the filterings, 7, again we have a band and a high. The high version is better for your stronger types of ground. 10 is one of your typical ranges for average type ground, 10 band or 10 high. And then your 12.5 band and high are for your extreme types of ground. So this is adjusting your signal processing, filtration for ground minerals, and you want to select a level that best suits the mineral in the area and your typical search coil sweep speed. The higher numbers typically require a quicker sweep speed and are for higher mineral type grounds. The lower numbers are better for lower mineral type grounds and slower sweep speeds. Again, squeeze and release the trigger to go back to your 6-block menu. Second time goes back to a search mode. When we make adjustments to the live controls, they are different depending on which program you select, and some of them are from the expert menu, but they are options that we feel are either necessary or highly helpful for that particular purpose. And again, this may be you may have to refer to your expert manual for some of these features. Again, from the live controls, you access many features from any menu, either the 6-block or the expert, and they change depending on the program you select.
The Spectra V3 works with White's Eclipse style loops. Smaller loops are better for high trash areas when targets are close together. They will not go as deep, however. Larger loops go deeper, but are more difficult to use in high trash areas. The Spectra V3 is provided with 2 battery systems. A battery pack, which houses 8 AA batteries with a blue decal, and a nickel metal hydride rechargeable pack with the orange decal. Also, there's a smart charger and charging cradle. The nickel metal hydride batteries charge in as little as 2 hours and automatically switch to maintain or trickle charge. You can charge any time and leave in trickle indefinitely. Charging is indicated by both red and green lights. A full charge is indicated with a green light only.
When the Spectra V3 is first turned on, this particular new instrument is telling me that it's an unregistered model. Now, you can register your name and contact information into the Spectra V3 software, and nobody's going to be able to tamper with that without the code that you're going to write down and keep separately. Now, it says arrow down. I can press the arrow down and see more information about this. If it were a registered detector, there would be my name and contact information here. So it's really quite a valuable tool to embed your name and contact information in your metal detector. To register the Spectra V3, press menu twice and arrow down to owner registration and press enter. And again, this is telling me that this is an unregistered model at this point, has the serial number and when it was built and all of the details here. You can see under owner and contact, it's unregistered at this point. I'm going to menu tab to register, and I'm going to register this instrument for myself, so I'm going to press enter. And I'm going to write this password down on the inside back cover of my instruction manual, and then I'm going to keep my instruction manual separate so that if anybody ever steals this detector, I can positively identify it as mine, and they're not going to be able to get my owner information out of there. So again, this password is very important that you write that down. After I register it the first time, this password is not going to reappear. I'm going to have to manually re-enter that password in the future if I move and change my addresses, if I change my telephone number, if maybe I want to sell this detector down the road and the new owner wants to put his name and contact information in it. I'll have to manually enter that password, so I'm going to need to write that down and somewhere where I'm not going to lose it. Under owner name, I can go ahead and use the arrow controls to find different symbols and letters. It's easier, though, to go ahead and press enter to bring up a keyboard. And now I can use my arrow and enter control to spell out my name. And I'm going to go on down to I'm going to register it for myself. So I'm going down to S, capital S, enter. Now I'm going to go on up here or over here to a small t. Now, if I make a mistake, I'm going to go ahead and put in another O, and I think, oh man, I can't go back with my arrow. The way to fix that is to trigger, then go back to that digit, then enter to bring the keyboard back up, and then I can correct that error there. Once I've entered my name, menu tab to contact information, and do the same thing. Press enter to bring up the keyboard, and spell out your contact information. I'm going to put my phone number in. Menu tab to save and press enter. And you've now put in your contact information. Now, upon turning I'm going to trigger to go back to a search mode and turn the detector off. Now when I turn it back on, it's a registered detector now, and it's got my name in it. And if I arrow on down here, my contact information will be here as well. See Steve Howard and my phone number. In addition to accessing programs from the live controls, you can access programs through the regular menu simply by pressing menu, highlight on programs and press enter, and you have the menu version of the preset programs. Again, the triangle indicates that I've made a modification to Coin. The check mark means that it is the original factory setting. I can select different programs and press enter and squeeze and release the trigger to activate searching with that program. Also, at the end of the list is Restore. If I enter Restore, I can choose a program, and I'm on the Coin program. I can menu tab to restore and press enter. Now you can see Coin now has the check mark, which means it has been returned to the original settings. If I want to restore another program, I can just enter again, find the next program that I want to restore, menu tab to restore, and enter to restore that program. The common is used to pick your most favorite settings that you can use later in the expert programs to plug into programs that you're saving. For example, if you always like a tone and volume level of a particular setting and you want those for all of your programs that you save, you can select those settings in common, and then later on when you're saving, you can substitute those volume settings in any program that you're saving. Squeeze and release the trigger once or twice to go back to the search mode. You can select different programs here from the live controls simply by selecting it and arrowing up and down. As we mentioned, you can press menu, highlight programs, and press enter and get a full listing of your regular programs where you can restore one to factory settings. The triangle again means that it's been modified. The check mark means it's the standard factory programs. There is another set of things you can do with programs, and that's when you press menu twice. Let me go back to the search mode. Press menu twice. Arrow down to the expert menu and press enter. And then enter programs. This is the expert section where you can select, like we already have shown you. We can save settings. We can restore or load. We can bring out programs from our library. We have a library in here. We can also share programs with other Vision users where you can transmit your program to another. But primarily this section in the expert is for saving programs and restoring programs, renaming programs, and putting programs in your library, perhaps that you don't want out on your desktop all the time. So again, that's menu twice, down to expert, enter, and then enter programs, and you have your expert section on programs where you can share them, you can rename them, you can save them. One of the things people ask about Vision is, why would I want to save a program if the settings, the changes I make are automatically saved? Why would I save a program? When you save a program, it saves it with the lines under your original settings, so further modifications, you can tell that you're off of your standard settings. You can also name it what you wish to name it, and also it's going to, you can either save it in your library or you can save it on the desktop where you have your 6-block menu. There's just a lot of advantages to saving them if you want to use those settings for a long, long time. Again, squeeze and release the trigger once, twice, 3 times to exit to a search mode.